you've been playing with great success at Kinsella's late night club over the past few months. Are you extending yourself into other different venues?
Yes, well at the moment we're doing Jamison Street, and we're doing a tour, Cliff Richard, which has taken us to really big venues like Festival Hall and Holden Pavilion and places like that. It's quite unusual for us to play really big venues.
Well, do you think that the type of act you are limits the sort of venues you can play in?
Well, we used to believe that, but much to our delight, we found that the shows that we've been doing with Cliff, which are in halls, well, the smallest we've played to is 4,000, and the biggest is about 6. And the show is going over like a dream. It's wonderful. For a support act, my experience as a support act in a big rock concert is that people don't generally take much notice of it. But they listen to everything. They listen to all the stuff we were worried about, like the commercial stuff where you have to listen to the words to really get the humour and stuff. And we've been going over like a dream. It's great. So we used to think that there was a problem with venues. But
There is a problem in still the old way that if you go into a rock and roll venue or a pub that they don't have the facilities to stage something like it because it's more theatre. Show.
You've had a lot of expectations going on from that about people thinking, oh, this is meant to be a rock and roll act, and you never set yourselves up to be a rock and roll act.
We do a show about rock and roll, and that's where the confusions come from. We do a show about rock and roll, about pop music, about rock and roll television, and that's where people who perhaps don't sort of really look into something, it is hard for people to get a handle on because we cover a few mediums with our show, and it's just not a simple thing to explain to people. And we have had occasions in the early days where people did come and see us at clubs in Melbourne, and we were virtually, well, never booed, but never had quite a few hassles from audiences who quite rightfully were sort of disappointed at seeing people miming records when they thought it was going to be a band.
Well, do you think there's a time and a place at the moment for a 60s mime act?
There must be, because audiences are coming back and having a good time.
It was something we were always prepared to let go because we did feel originally that it had quite a limited lifespan. But since we've come to Sydney, it genuinely has been it sounds trite to say it, but it really has been sort of a popular demand thing that we've gone on as long as we have, doing the different things that we've been doing.
Well, you've just very recently been sort of fairly strongly criticised in the press in the sense that you were, it said that you were of just a passing phase of thing. Do you think that the honeymoon's over for the Globos?
Well, it looks like I might have to stop my orthodontic smile. That's what Duke called it. Even when I'm defending the indefensible, I've still got this orthodontic smile apparently. But anyway, but seriously, I think it's just a function. When you're doing something that's reaching a wider audience all the time, which is what we're doing, fortunately, happily, you're inevitably going to come in contact with people who are forced, or come across you not because they're terribly interested to, but because they happen across you. Like, for example, because their editor says, go and do this interview, and you just can't expect people to like you all the time. The more people that come in contact with us, I guess the more chance there is of people not liking the act. It's just a function of sort of increasing popularity, I suppose.
I think people often miss the point too. I think they often take the very thing that we take tongue-in-cheek, they take seriously. Like they think that because there's such a fine line between what we send up and what we don't send up, I think they often miss that line and think that we are what we're sending up.
Yeah. And I think even,
you can't defend that. They either see it or they don't.
I suppose a lot of people I suppose it's quite fair, in a way, fair enough that people may not even believe the actual truth, which is the thing started as a party act, and that sounds like hype. But it's the truth, and I guess in a lot of ways people one day, and probably already, are saying, well, that's crap.
Well, don't you think people might get tired of a party act? How can you see it extending?
Well, see, we take it very much project by project, and we've got the film coming up after the Cliff Richard tour, and after that we're very excited about working with the Sydney Theatre Company on the musical, the stage musical. Now after that Wendy and I are very interested in continuing making records, but we'll only know when to let whatever we're doing go at the time. It's not something we can make plans about, and we don't particularly want to make plans about, right?
And the new one from the Globos, The Beat Goes On.